Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, provides us with the reasons why, according to him, obviously, Israel does not provide Ukraine with weapons. Now, remember, Mr. Netanyahu, he is something and a politician. Now, he is a very smart guy, that's for sure. And he got balls. I give him that. Everything else I can't disclose here, but I can give him intelligence and balls. And he's a politician. That means he's going to tell us things sometimes that, let's say, is going to give us his interpretation of facts. This way, we can find out, at least according to him, why they don't give the Russians, the Ukrainians, weapons. Here it is. The article comes from Ukrainska Pravda, and Netanyahu gives two reasons why Israel is afraid to provide weapons to Ukraine. Now, Ukrainska Pravda, these guys in charge of Ukraine want Israel to provide, obviously, Ukraine with weapons. So now this is like, I dare you, is afraid. Israel is not afraid. Just avoids certain things, the risk of these two reasons. These two reasons, not afraid, but it's like, I dare you. You're afraid to jump. Yes, you're afraid to ask her out. Yes, you're afraid to punch him in the face. I'm not afraid, but, it's not logical. It doesn't make sense. It's not in my interest. I'm afraid. Israel is afraid. Israel is not afraid of anybody. Shouldn't be anyway. It's got weapons and it's got friends, and it's got people that can push all kind of buttons where they're needed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel fears providing weapons to Ukraine because they could fall into the hands of the Russians and then Iran. So Netanyahu, in an interview with the Jerusalem Post, and I'm quoting Netanyahu, I think Israel is in a peculiar situation, different from, say, Poland or Germany or France or any of the Western countries that are assisting Ukraine. First of all, we have a close military border with Russia. Our pilots are flying right next to the Russian pilots over the skies of Syria. Okay, and I think it's important that we maintain our freedom of action against Iran's attempts to place itself militarily on our northern border. Well, this doesn't really make sense because if you talk about the pilots being next to the Russian pilots in Syria, so are the American pilots. And the Americans provide a big chunk, the most chunk of weapons to Ukraine. And they're not afraid to have their weapons falling in the Russians' hands either, right? Second, we also have concerns that they're not afraid, have concerns. See, you're not afraid. What's that? Fears and, he's afraid. It didn't mean afraid. Has concerns that any systems that we give to Ukraine would be used against us because they could fall into Iranian hands and be used against us. And by the way, that's not a theoretical possibility. It actually happened with the Western anti-tank weapons that we now find at our borders. So we have to be very careful here. All right, well, good. That's a good reason. Both of them are valid reasons to me, but they don't have to be to me. They have to be valid reasons to them because they're in the middle of it. Details. Netanyahu called Israel's approach to help Ukraine balanced, in quotation marks, and believes it is correct. According to him, Western heads of state, and I'm quoting, understand that Israel is in a different situation from any of them. Okay. So, I admire the Israelis for their independence, sovereignty, they have balls, they have the means, and they're not kidding. The Israelis are not kidding like these guys, a lot of lights, dancing, pointing fingers. It's all good, man. No, they're more interested in achieving things than in telling they achieved things. So they're not focused on the, hey, we're good. No, they just are good. in this area anyway, in a military aspect. And personally, I think that's a good thing. They are part of a very small number of independent countries on this planet. Let's see, United States of America, kind of, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, Israel, to a certain extent Saudi Arabia, Turkey, definitely Turkey. These are countries that show you. India, Brazil, let's say I got more than 7. This is out of 193. Okay, this is it. Well, this is what 10 is 5%. About, you know, this is 6%, 5-6%. The rest are at the whim of the big guys, which are 1 or 2 countries, which is in this case I would say 1, which is the United States. No, I didn't include the Great Britain, I didn't include France, I didn't include definitely Germany and anybody else, because when the United States says jump, those guys say how high. That's the reality. So Israel is not part of that. Israel, on the contrary, I think could rank above at least one country that I mentioned here, or 2, at least 2 countries here that I mentioned. They are raised above in the terms of independence, freedom, autonomy, and might, because I think they can influence many countries from this side, but from the 10. So from the 10, Israel can influence a few of here. I would say maybe 1 or 2, 1 specifically. But that one cannot really influence Israel much. So it's, anyway, you know exactly what I mean. So here it is. I'm glad this guy stayed away from it, because there were many, there could be made a lot of connections between, you know, how do you call it? Zelensky being Jewish, Prime Minister of Ukraine being Jewish, Reznikov, I mean, as I said, Zhmihal, and then I go to Reznikov, which is the Secretary of Defense or Minister of Defense. He's Jewish, and then you have Yermak, again Jewish, and you see Israel coming and helping them somehow, not helping them, but Ukraine jumping all that. It could be seen as, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? I know, it raised some questions in some areas. Anyway, I'm glad that Netanyahu keeps his balance and is able to keep his country away of this BS, what's going on in Ukraine. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.